Okay, so welcome to videos. Woo! So exciting. Okay, so videos that we are going to learn from. So today we're going to talk about space figures. We have done two-dimensional figures, and now we are going to start into our three-dimensional figures. So first we're going to deal with some of our definitions. So we're going to start with space figures, which of course are also called solids. Okay, they are our three-dimensional figures. So we'll put three-dimensional so that we will remember that we are working with three-dimensional figures. So the first type of figure that we are going to work with is the prism. Okay, now the prism has two parallel bases, and it is connected, those two bases connected by rectangles. Now, you can have prisms of all different types of bases. Traditionally, we're going to work with a square base or a rectangular base. That would be a square prism or a rectangular prism. So what we're looking at is, shapes like this. Okay, this would be a rectangular prism. Okay, now if I had a base, and of course a little bit harder to draw, if I had, let's say, a triangular base, we would have, it would be kind of like this. It's really kind of ugly. This would be a triangular prism. So you always name it by, it didn't make that right at all because I needed a triangle up at the top. I really can't draw these triangle prisms very well. I'm going to try this again. Don't look at that one because that one's not good. So if I do a triangle base, then I have to bring it up like this. We'll make that one in the back. Then this would go kind of like this. This is more of a triangle prism. See how I've got parallel bases? Yeah. See, that's why I'll draw these mostly, because these I can actually make look like something, as opposed to this, which really looks like nothing. I can show you better shapes tomorrow, or you can look in your book for better shapes, because that's really pathetic. So anyway, I know it's pathetic, so we're just going to move on. So the other type of prism you could have is if you had all sides equal, then we could call that a cube. But if we don't have all sides equal, then it becomes a rectangular or a square prism. We can talk about that a little bit more also. It's a little easier when you can actually see it. And I'm really not able to draw it very well. I can try. So like we can say that all of those sides are congruent. Okay, and then this side would also have to be congruent. Okay. So everything would have to be congruent, all the way down to these back here. Okay, so this would be a cube if everything was congruent. So the prism is, we'll work with that a lot. The next shape that we have is the cylinder. Oh, let me move this down as we go on to our cylinder. I'm actually better at drawing these. Cylinder also have two parallel bases that are circles. And so basically what we're looking at here is this type of a structure. So think soup can, okay, But anyway, this is a cylinder. You have the two circular bases that are parallel and congruent. And then we are going to look at the pyramid. Oops, spelling that wrong. The pyramid, which has a single base with sides that are triangles, and they meet at a vertex. Okay, this is going to be pretty much the bad drawing that I made before. So let's go ahead and flip the page here. I will attempt some more ugly pyramids. Our pyramid can actually have any type of a single base. We can have a rectangular pyramid. So we'd be looking at something sort of like this, okay? So you can see how these faces are triangles. And there are 4 triangles leading up to this vertex point up here, okay? So the base is a rectangle. So we would actually call this a rectangular pyramid. My base can be anything. If I could actually draw it properly, it can be any sort of a polygon. So, you know, and like I said, easier to actually put it up on the board when we're together. But you name it by the base and the fact that these sides or faces, so the sides are called faces. And this is with all of your shapes. Your prism has bases and faces, and the faces are actually what the sides are called. From the pyramid, then we go to the cone. The cone has a single circular base. And 1 vertex. It's pretty easy to draw. It just doesn't really look like anything. So it looks kind of like a party hat, circle at the bottom, and so there's your cone. Your cones can come in various sizes. Okay, you can have a cone that looks like this. Okay, and we'll talk about how to work with these items as we go along. And then finally, the last shape that we're going to talk about is the sphere. The sphere is basically, okay, it's a ball. We're going to look at it pretty much like this, and they'll kind of dip that and then do this in the back to give you a sense of dimension. The sphere is the set of all points in space that are a given distance from a given point called the center. Long definition just to, be talking about a ball, okay? But that is the actual definition of a sphere. So basically, if you think about like having right in the center there, having a point, and then having that you know, that radius that is on a swivel and a pivot, and it can go all around this ball in all directions. So that is what we are talking about. What are the other things that we're going to talk about in this section? We're going to talk about nets. Okay, and nets are, and I think we talked about it a little last year, but nets are pattern you can form from a space figure. So we're going to be looking at some nets, and I'll be showing you some in the video again. I believe we looked at it last year.